the shtick. Well, hey there. Welcome back to the People Gardener podcast. Happy to have you here this week. Have returning guest, Serena Shoup. She is an accountant, a CPA turned small business owner. She also serves the course creators and coaching community with an accounting. And then she mentors bookkeepers. I reached out to her and asked her if there were any tools that she uses or recommends for small business owners. And so she has decided to come and talk to us about 3 different ones, which is exciting. A couple in the finance arena, and then other. Relay is
It's a banking.
online banking. So it's a banking thing. So, okay, darling. Let's have it. What do you got for us?
Thank you for having me once again. It's always fun to come back and chat with you. So yeah, the 3, I guess, software programs or tech platforms, I guess, is more appropriate these days. Everything's on the cloud. So we'll just call them platforms.
Yeah.
The 3 that I want to talk about are all related to small business finance. So I thought it would be appropriate. So I guess I'll start with the banking platform, actually, because in order to, send and receive money and make money, you have to have somewhere to put it all.
Right.
Like Rhonda said, I work mainly with online entrepreneurs. And so a lot of my clients don't transact cash. So it's okay to use an online banking platform where you don't need to go into a branch or anything. And it's been really efficient for them. A lot of my clients use a system called Profit First. I don't know if you've heard of that book, but this bank is a Profit First partner. So it's very friendly with opening up multiple bank accounts, and they don't charge you. It's really an online interface, and they have a real bank backing them with FDIC insurance and all of that. So yeah, what I love about this platform is you can literally open a bank account within 5 minutes if you have all of your business documents. They now also have savings account with interest bearing, and they're starting to offer credit cards as well. We set up all of our clients on Relay, especially if they're not happy with their current bank. I use Relay for both of my businesses, for my bookkeeping business and for my coaching business. And it's free too. So that's always
Wow.
great.
That's huge, especially when you're constantly dinged with fees.
So it's especially impactful for those clients that do want to have multiple bank accounts to kind of divvy up their money. So, Profit First is sort of like the envelope budgeting method. So
Right.
that's what I follow. That's what a lot of my clients follow. And it's just really nice to have a bank that's friendly with that. And it's so easy to open new bank accounts. It's easy to set up debit cards for your team and spending limits and things like that as well, if you have a bigger team. And then our favorite part of it is that it directly integrates with our accounting software. So it directly integrates with Xero and QuickBooks, meaning all of the transactions come in through the feed. And so I've never had really any issue with that feed breaking and having to reset it. So that's a huge plus for us.
Wow. So when you say integrate, you're talking about all of the transactions that happen in Relay can be pulled into, or do they automatically go into?
They automatically go into once you've linked your bank account to QuickBooks or Xero. Yeah. So all your transactions are already there, and then you just have to categorize them appropriately within your software. So yeah, that's one of our favorite parts. And when we set up our clients on Relay, or if they're already on Relay, we can invite them into our portal basically. So we can see a list of all of our clients on Relay and easily access bank statements to do all of our reconciliations and all the nerdy stuff that we like to do. But yeah, it's been really awesome to have that at our fingertips and to have that as a resource, because a lot of clients come to us not thrilled about their banking relationship or the fees that they're paying. And yeah, it's really nice to be able to facilitate that. So that's number 1.
It's one of the admin tasks that are, for most small business owners, they're most unfamiliar with. Like accounting, bookkeeping, that's just not where they live. So to have something that can take the load off them is amazing. So now, how do people find Relay? Like, is it just a website?
Yeah, it's relayfi.com, I believe, but I can also share a link in the show notes as well, for you to share. Yeah. So
Are you an affiliate with them?
Yes, I
Awesome.
am a
So,
relay partner. So,
right. Okay, awesome.
yep.
So people will know that you'll receive some benefit for sharing the information about.
And so why that's important too is I feel like we touched on this on our last podcast we did together, but it always bears repeating because probably new listeners is like when you set up your business, the first thing that you really should do is open a business bank account to start keeping your business finances separate. And a lot of people are like, well, I'm not making money yet and da da da. But it's like, even if you're not, just open the account. And there's nothing to lose with Relay because it's free. So it's not like you're going to be paying a fee, but just open that account, establish that habit of keeping things separate, and you'll be off to the races.
I'm a kind of a lister, a compartmentalizer person, so it makes total sense to me. Well, no,
Hmm.
this stuff is here, my personal stuff is there, and I've been quite happily never to mix the two. But that's how my brain works.
Yeah, absolutely. So a second ago, I talked about it integrating with your accounting software. So that leads me to my
Yeah.
second platform, which I prefer Xero. A lot of people use QuickBooks Online. But what I love about Xero is that it actually didn't originate in the US, but it was the first cloud accounting platform. So it was built for the cloud, whereas
Okay.
QuickBooks Online, most people understand and know it started as a desktop software that you put a CD-ROM and
Yeah.
download it and all that kind of stuff, and you had to wait for updates. Well, because of that, the QuickBooks Online platform, it started as desktop and they kind of like migrated it to this online thing. So there's functionality that isn't the same and isn't designed the same, but Xero was actually built for the cloud. So that's a really cool aspect of it. And so in a lot of ways it functions a lot better because they had that, that end goal in mind from the beginning. They weren't trying to just like take something that existed in desktop and then move it to online.
Right.
And so yeah, that's one of the things. The other thing that I really like about it, because I came from corporate, I'm huge on controls and making sure that, you know, certain people don't have access to certain things, and there's always an audit trail. In Xero, you cannot delete anything, whereas in QuickBooks Online, you can delete transactions and then end up with a mess because you're like, oh crap, what did I just do?
Come
and,
now.
and you can't recover it. So in Xero, there's no deleting anything unless it hasn't already been posted. Like it has to have just been in a draft mode anyway.
Mhm.
And so it's easy to recreate something that hasn't already hit the system, but you have to avoid things. So there's always this trail of what has happened.
Right.
Um, and that's a huge thing for me. If you have a team or you have someone that you want to be able to do certain things in your software and not everything, like maybe just enter bills or enter invoices, you can have them do that and then require your approval to post it to the system so that you're reviewing things. So I really like that review
Nice.
layer. Xero also allows unlimited users on every plan that they have.
Wow.
So that's a huge
That's
thing.
big.
And yeah, and like I said, it integrates directly with Relay, so does QuickBooks Online. And what are the other features that I really enjoy? Oh, one huge one for online business is it has a direct integration with Kajabi payments if you're on Kajabi and with Stripe. So all of those transactions also feed into Xero if you link those up. And yeah, so we love that because most of our clients are course creators.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. Going back to the controls, I would imagine it's a huge, what do I want to say? For business owners to know that, yeah, I need this person to do this, and I can actually set up controls that that's the only thing that they're going to be able to do. They
Hmm.
can't be wandering around. They can't be moving, this from here to there. That there's comfort in knowing that there's controls. Do you see that as a big thing for minimizing abuse?
Yeah. And what's interesting is I used to work at a CPA firm and we've worked with clients who have had fraud happen to them and theft basically. But I actually have a current client that has been experiencing some of that from before I came on. And working with us was one of the things that illuminated another issue that was happening. And yeah, but having those separation of duties is another way to say controls, basically, is just making sure that whoever has access to moving money is not the same person who is like overseeing the whole reporting process or reconciling the bank accounts. And these days, especially with online business, it's a little bit different, right? Back if you're talking about like a brick and mortar business, you have someone that's physically writing the checks and then someone else signs it, and that's how you separate those duties. Well, it's a little more difficult in the online business because everything is purchased with a credit card. So in that regard, you have to make sure that the person that has control of that card number is trustworthy, but then also somebody's reviewing all the transactions that are hitting that card after the fact so that you can catch things. So there's not as much that you can do on the front end for controls as far as making sure that there isn't fraud happening, but you can absolutely mitigate it getting worse by keeping an eye on things, and fraud always starts small. So
So
yeah.
in moving to your accounting business, is that something that you work with your clients of setting up those
Yeah,
different controls? You have recommended or, standard operating procedures of, hey, we want to get this implemented, and you go over, okay, who's going to be doing this, who's doing that, like you
yeah,
offer.
for a larger business, absolutely. That's super difficult in a small business
Yeah,
when you don't have enough people.
yeah,
So that's where working with someone, a firm like us, or even just doing your own review of your reports every month is so important. If someone else does have access to a credit card and you're having them purchase software or ads or whatever, you need to be monitoring that. And even if the only thing that you're doing is reviewing the bank statement each month for that card, that's better than nothing.
right.
But when you work with, like, one of the things that we do with our clients is we look at the monthly reports every month, month to month, and we compare what happened this month versus last month. Does this look normal? Does this spend look a little high? If it does, we flag it for the client and say, hey, this spend was a little higher. And most of our clients are doing their own purchasing. So they're like, oh yeah, I hired this contractor, or I, spent more in ads. But there are a few clients that do have other team members that are responsible for making purchases. And so it's good for them to be aware of that, right?
This all sounds like our business mentor, James, know thy numbers.
Yes.
So is there taking QuickBooks and Xero, the online experience is better with Xero?
In my humble opinion.
Exactly. Okay. And that's certainly valid. You're in the trenches, and that's what these episodes are all about. People that are actually using these tools, right?
Yeah.
Cost wise,
Cost
similar.
wise, it is more affordable than QuickBooks,
Yeah.
and QuickBooks is kind of notorious for raising rates constantly,
Yeah.
like multiple times per year.
Mhm.
And yeah, so Xero has plans that start at like $15 a month, and then their top tier plan is only like 65 or 70, I think.
Right.
So that's one of the things that we extend to our clients is we just cover the subscription because it's the tool that we want to use.
Right.
And so we just kind of build that into the fee for our client. And then by doing that, we kind of get a discount on the subscription as well
Right. Yeah.
because we're
Yeah.
managing it.
Yeah.
So,
Perfect. Makes total sense. I am enough old school. I really have trust issues with the whole cloud thing. I'm a pen and paper gal, right? So
mhm.
yeah, it's been hard for me.
That, yeah, and I relate to that as well because I started accounting on paper ledgers. I just sent out a newsletter to my bookkeeping community about how I got my start was working for my dad in his HVAC business, but he's the one that started where I initially learned how to write checks and record
Yeah.
things in a ledger when I was 12 years old. So, thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
But to your point about the security of the cloud, that's also one of the things that is important to me. And a lot of people kind of just trust the system. And I trust the system, but I also make sure I have a backup. And so, included with our clients, is I pay for an additional service. Again, I eat the cost of this because I want everyone to have the peace of mind. is I pay for a service that automatically backs up all of our clients' files so that if something does happen, we have additional copies of it and we can export it and all is well in the world, hopefully.
Yeah, awesome, awesome.
So,
How difficult is it for, or how easy, let's frame it that way. How easy is it for people that are banking with a brick and mortar or with another online banking to move things to Xero? Like,
so yeah, Xero can also pull feeds from pretty much any other bank as well. They just use it's not a direct feed. So there's like this third-party software that pulls the information. And so sometimes those break, but you reconnect it and it's totally fine. So like all the big banks work well, like Wells Fargo, US Bank, I think PNC, you know what I mean? Like the
Right,
big
yeah.
names, those all integrate. Even smaller credit unions integrate because of the software, a third party that they use. So pretty much virtually any bank will integrate and pull the transactions into Xero. It's just not as seamless as
And
Relay.
so is it simply the business owner, some type of form that they submit?
Yeah, so within Xero, you just click a button that says connect bank account, and then you type in your bank account. It pulls up the login screen, and you log into your bank and sync everything. And so, in general, that stays connected. Occasionally, like if the bank changes the formatting of the exports or whatever, it might break, or every so often you might have to re-log in to reconnect things. But yeah, you can. It's a very easy process.
Okay,
And they're all also I have one client that is like, do not connect my bank feeds, even though they're available. And so we just log into that client and export the Excel file and then import it into Xero to do our work. And it's not that much more difficult.
right. Okay, in my head, I was confused with the Xero and the Relay. And I think I needed to be asking you that question about Relay. So you've got this online bank now. Can you easily close out your existing brick and mortar or your existing online and move everything to Relay? Is it the same kind of process?
Oh, yeah. So when I first started my business, I was using a personal bank account for a business bank account, which is better than nothing, but I was
Mhm.
still keeping it separate, right? So this is something that especially if you're a sole proprietor, it's not a really big deal. It's not until you become like an LLC or some sort of business structure that you do want to make sure you're running your business in a
Mhm.
business bank account. But at the very beginning of my business, I just had a separate personal account at USAA. So when I opened my Relay account, you just basically, I can't remember if you actually can, I think I linked the account because you can link accounts and transfer money from Relay to your personal. And I think that's how I did it. But you can also just like ACH yourself.
Right.
And it's a super easy process to just move those funds and fund Relay or vice versa. Like when I pay myself, it's just a transfer from
Right.
Relay to my personal account and it happens within a day or two. So
Cool. Okay, so you were bringing us three.
yes.
So
So my
the
my
last one
third,
is Hubdoc.
yeah. So this is a platform that is now owned by Xero. So it's included when you are a Xero customer. It's called Hubdoc. And basically, what it is a way to organize all of your receipts and documents that are your proof of all these transactions that are happening in your business. And this is something that the IRS wants you to have proof for all income and expenses. So when we're talking about proof, that's not just the bank statement. It's like receipts from the meals that you purchased, invoices for the contractor that you've hired to do XYZ service.
Mhm.
So this is a really great way to keep all of that organized without having to manually like upload things to your Google Drive and rename the files and all that kind of stuff. So Hubdoc, you can just forward emails into yourself. You can snap a photo on the app that they have. That's what I do when I travel. Or you can, upload a PDF or whatever and just dump it in. And so then Hubdoc reads the text on the receipt or invoice or whatever it is and pulls that data from it. So like the date, the amount, the vendor, it files it in a vendor specific folder. So you can go in and say, oh, I want to see all the receipts that I have for this one contractor or this one software. and you can just find that folder, pull up everything that you have in there. And then it also pulls the data and you can sync it into Xero or QuickBooks. And basically it attaches that document to the transaction in QuickBooks or Xero as well. So you've got two places that you have that documentation in case you ever have an audit. And then the third area is, this is what we all say, I'm big on backing things up and my clients having access to their own stuff too, is we also sync it with our clients' own Google Drives or Dropbox too. Anything that gets uploaded to Hubdoc also gets duplicated in their Google Drive. So they always have access to it and they can find it easily without logging into Hubdoc if they don't want to.
Okay. Does
You're mind blown. You're like, I don't know what I just listened
it's
to.
just like lots of stuff churning around in my head. Does this now relieve you of the need to hold on to the paper copy?
Yes.
So
Yes.
the IRS accepts
Yeah.
what you've uploaded to Hubdoc, the IRS is saying, yeah, we're okay with that as proof of that expenditure or
yeah. Especially because I don't know if you've ever run into this, but receipt paper fades after a couple years.
Unbelievable.
So the workaround for that back in the day was to actually make photocopies of all of those receipts and staple them in a file.
Right.
So I don't do that. I literally, when I'm traveling and I'm at the airport or whatever, eating my meal, I write on the receipt what the travel was for, like, oh, I'm on the way to XeroCon or whatever. And then it's just travel meals. I snap a photo of it and upload it immediately app, and I just leave the receipt there. I don't even try to bother taking it with me. That's just the habit that I've created, and I try to instill that habit into my clients as well. Like, just immediately take a picture of it and then just wash your hands of it. Just make sure it's uploaded.
I could get rid of 2 or 3 drawers of in the filing cabinet.
Yeah.
Hold on to these receipts for the 7 years or 10 years or whatever.
Yeah, 7 years, unless you've committed fraud, then there's no statute of limitations.
Oh, wow. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So, and that's part of the reason why we create so many avenues of backups as well, because we don't want anyone to ever be like thinking that it's in there and then something happens and it disappears. So we link the Google Drive. We also push that transaction into Xero. So it's attached in Xero, it's in Hubdoc, it's in Google Drive. So it's in all these multiple places for people. But yeah.
How long would it take somebody if they decide, okay, we're going to go with the relay option and we're going to go with Xero and Hubdoc? How long for them to gather the information that they're going to need to input and then to actually do it? Ballpark. I'm not going to hold you to it, but
we do these setups for clients all the time.
Yeah.
If you have all of your documents in one place, like once you hand those documents to us, like your LLC paperwork, your EIN number, pretty much that's mostly what we need. We just need those official documents to know what your official business name is, the EIN. And then I think when you set up Relay, you also have to upload like a picture of your driver's license. But if you have all of that handy, you can set up Relay in 5 minutes and be granted your account within the same day. And then or maybe even just like 30 minutes. Like, it happens very quickly unless they need more documentation. And same with Xero. I would say as long as you have everything handy, you can set all of that up as a fresh start within an hour. You can set up Xero, Hubdoc, all within an hour. Now, what comes into play is like, how much are we like catching up from back days, right? So if it's like right now we're in June and you want to put everything in from January 2024 until now, well, that's going to take you probably several hours, but it's the setting up the system itself is something that you can do within an hour.
Right. Wow. That is pretty amazing. For me, I was like you, I did books for my mom and dad in their business. So the whole accounting part of things, I know enough to be dangerous, right? And
that's how I feel about tax.
I have an accountant. She does the taxes. I mean, I get to the reconciliation of the bank and the credit card, and I hand everything over. But for somebody that isn't familiar and comfortable with bookkeeping and whatnot. This just sounds like it relieves so much pressure
Yeah.
and stress.
Yeah. That's the other thing is I always am like, people are like, could you train me? Could I do this myself? Absolutely, you could do that yourself if you're going to keep on top of it. And if you have the personality and propensity for spreadsheets and numbers, then absolutely you can handle this yourself. If you know yourself and you know that that's not you and you know it's never going to get done and it's just going to stress you out, just outsource it.
Well, and that's me. I have no problem data entry. I have no problem reconciling the bank and the credit card, but I'm not doing anything else. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
don't,
And that's
don't
great. That's
want
great that you're
to,
doing that as
don't
well.
know how, not interested. I mean, the whole 9 yards. But yeah, the basic things I'm fine with. And I also have enough of a control freak nature in me. I want to know, I want to see, because I want to verify it's not complicated because there's only two people that have cards that
Yeah.
are doing things. But still, you got to verify that the vendor has charged the correct amount, that the
Mhm.
PO and that matches. And then you got to go to battle with them that they overcharged you, or, freight was supposed to be included and it's not. So for me, I feel very comfortable doing that because I want to know.
Yeah.
And then I can feel comfortable that, okay, all of this is right, and then send it off for them, the accountant, to do whatever the accountant does.
Yeah. Puts it into pretty reports and tells you how much money you made.
Yeah. And deals with all the taxes and all that kind of stuff. Well, awesome. This is amazing. I hope lots of small business owners happen to fall onto this podcast. I
Yeah.
am going to be posting it on my YouTube channel, my podcast YouTube channel. To me, it makes so much sense, the three things together, to complete your suite of
Yeah.
finance stuff.
It's a sure way to just make sure everything's organized and above board and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing for the IRS and for your own peace of mind, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's the biggest benefit.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Serena,
Thank
for
you.
sharing your info.
Wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, that's it for this week, folks. We'll talk to you again next week.